I never thought I'd wake up in someone else's skin, plotting to burn their empire to the ground while wearing their face. But here I am. Kinsley Harper, the nobody who got framed for embezzlement, staring into a mirror that lies about who I am, Victoria Langford, the queen bitch of Apex Innovations, her Botox-smooth forehead creased with my rage. And the best part? No one suspects a thing. Because revenge isn't about brute force, it's about slipping into their life like a virus and watching them choke on their own lies. It started with a betrayal so deep it hollowed me out. My best friend,
Victoria.
The one I covered for when she siphoned funds to fund her lavish escapes, pinning it all on me like I was the disposable intern. She rose on my ruins, CEO at 28, while I rotted in a cell, innocent but invisible.
Now,
freed by a glitch in some black market neural swap tech I'd scavenged from the dark web, meant for the elite to try on power, I've got her body, her access codes, her goddamn arrogance.
And tonight,
I start dismantling it all, one whispered secret at a time. God. The irony stings sweeter than whiskey. The woman who stole my life is about to beg for mercy from the ghost in her own reflection. The fluorescent hum of the women's prison block in San Quentin was my lullaby for 2 years. A relentless drone that drilled into your skull until you forgot what silence sounded like. I was 25 when they locked me up, fresh out of Stanford's MBA program with stars in my eyes and a loyalty bone deep to Victoria Langford, the girl who'd pulled me into her orbit during freshman orientation. We were the unbreakable duo. Vic, the silver-spooned firecracker from Marin County with her trust fund and razor wit.
And me,
Kinsley Harper, the scholarship kid from Fresno's dusty trailer parks, scraping by on grit and late-night study sessions. She called me her secret weapon, the one who crunched numbers while she schmoozed investors. I believed her. Hell, I loved her like the sister I never had. Apex Innovations was our baby, born in a cramped garage in Palo Alto during the pandemic boom. Tech startups were popping like champagne corks, and ours was the golden goose, an AI platform that predicted market crashes with eerie accuracy, raking in venture capital from Silicon Valley vultures who smelled blood money. Vic was the face, charismatic, cutthroat, with that blonde bob and those Louboutins that clicked like gunfire on marble floors. I was the brain, buried in code and spreadsheets, making sure the algorithms didn't glitch into oblivion. We were equals, or so I thought. The betrayal hit on a Tuesday, the kind of crisp Bay Area morning where the fog clings to the Golden Gate like a bad hangover. I'd stayed late the night before, auditing the offshore accounts after Vic mentioned some irregularities in a tipsy voice note. Irregularities? Try a cool $5 million funneled into Cayman Island shells, tied back to her personal Amex for yacht parties in Monaco and coke-fueled weekends in Vegas. I confronted her in the boardroom, heart pounding like a war drum, the city skyline mocking me through the floor-to-ceiling glass.
Beak.
This isn't you. We can fix it, repatriate the funds, spin it as an error. But if the board finds out, her laugh was a shard of ice. Kinsley, darling, who do you think authorized those transfers? You? With your little digital signatures, I borrowed. She slid a tablet across the table, my login credentials glowing like a noose.
Forged.
All of it. I'd signed off on dummy invoices months ago, back when she begged me to handle the paperwork during her sabbatical. Trust,
She'd said.
Family. I lunged for the device, but security burst in, her security, tipped off by an anonymous whistleblower email that traced straight to my IP. The cops were waiting downstairs, badges flashing under the lobby's LED chandelier. embezzlement, MS.
Harper. Wide fraud.
You're looking at 20 years. Vic stood there in the chaos, eyes wide with feigned shock, her hand on my arm like a mourner at a funeral. Kins. I had no idea. We'll fight this. I promise. She didn't fight. She testified. Painted me as the jealous underling, bitter over her promotion, cooking the books to sabotage the IPO. The jury, tech bros and housewives from the peninsula, ate it up. Guilty on all counts. Sentenced to 5. With 3 years off for good behavior if I kept my nose clean. Vic? She stepped into my void seamlessly. CEO by week's end. Her TED Talk on ethical AI going viral while I learned to braid hair with contraband string and Gen Pop. Prison broke me in ways I didn't see coming. Not the fights or the isolation, those were predictable. It was the secrets that festered. Late nights in the library, poring over court transcripts smuggled via a guard's niece. I pieced it together. Vic hadn't just framed me, she'd buried deeper sins. Apex's AI wasn't just predictive, it was manipulative. Feeding doctored data to crash competitors' stocks. Insider trading veiled as algorithmic foresight. And the worst? The whistleblower email? It originated from my own workstation. Timestamped during a lunch I'd spent fetching her kale smoothie from Sweet Green. She'd played me from day one. But the real gut punch came 6 months in. A visitor log showed Vic's name. Crossed out. She'd come once, early on, to gloat in private. It's business. Kins. You were always too soft for this game. Consider it mercy. I could have let them pin murder on you. Murder? What the hell did that mean? I clawed for answers. Trading commissary favors for burner phone minutes. Hired a PI on the outside. A grizzled ex-cop named Ramirez who owed a favor to my uncle back in Fresno. His reports trickled in like contraband smokes. Apex's rise was built on bodies.
Arriba al poder. Isen Ruiz.
Had discovered the AI's dirty tricks 2 years prior. Threatened to go public. Vanished. Last seen arguing with Vic in a dive bar off El Camino Real. Cops ruled it suicide, overdose in his apartment, but the talk screen screamed foul play. And me? I'd vouched for Vic that night. Lied to Ethan about her whereabouts when he called frantic. She's with me. Coding late. Covering. As always. I'd borne her crime without knowing. Her mistake. My cage. Parole came on a whim. Overcrowding. Good conduct. I stepped out into the biting December chill of 2024. The bay's salt air tasting like freedom laced with venom. No job. No references. Just a duffel and a grudge that burned hotter than the wildfires scorching the Sierras. Vic's face was everywhere. Forbes 30 under 30. Podcast circuits preaching lean-in feminism while her empire ballooned to $1 billion valuation. I crashed on Ramirez's couch in Oakland, nursing IPAs and scrolling dark web forums for a way to strike back. That's when I found it. Neuralink knockoffs. Black market body swaps peddled by rogue coders in Shenzhen. Not the sci-fi swap of souls, but a neural overlay, temporary consciousness transfer via hacked VR rigs and nootropic cocktails. Live their life for a day, the ad promised. Feel the power. Elites used it for espionage. Stress tests.
Me?
I saw a scalpel. 40 grand. Scraped from odd jobs and my uncle's life savings. A drop site in a Tenderloin motel. The tech a tangle of wires and a VR headset that hummed like a hornet's nest. The swap was scheduled for Friday night. Vic's penthouse empty, while she glad-handed at a gala in Napa. I posed as the maid service, slipping past the doorman with a forged keycard. The rig booted up in her walk-in closet, mirrors reflecting racks of Chanel and my hollow eyes. Injection sites on the neck, hers, prepped by a bribed insider. I synced the devices, heart slamming against ribs. Initiate transfer, the AI voice purred,
Cold as Vic's laugh.
the world dissolved in static. Pain like lightning forking through synapses.
Then,
Nothing. I woke gasping, but not in my body. Silk sheets. Ocean view from the 30th floor. Hands, manicured. Steady, reached for the mirror. Victoria Langford stared back, green eyes wide with my panic. I touched her cheek, my cheek now, and felt the stranger's skin yield. Across town, in that fetid motel, my old shell stirred. Reports later confirmed, Vic's consciousness dumped into Kinsley Harper's frame, disoriented, raging into a burner phone that no one answered. For the first time in years, I smiled.
game on.
Wearing Victoria Langford felt like slipping into a designer straitjacket, tailored to perfection but laced with invisible barbs that pricked at every move. Her body was a temple, yoga-toned, fueled by green juices and personal trainers, but it moved with a predatory grace that wasn't mine. I practiced in her penthouse mirror that first morning, mimicking her head tilt, her half-smile that said, "I own you," without a word. The city sprawled below like a circuit board, humming with the ambition that had chewed me up and spat me out. San Francisco, 2025, self-driving Teslas weaving through protesters chanting about AI ethics. Billboards hawking neural implants as the next iPhone. Vic's world. Now mine to torch. First order. Blend in. I raided her closet for armor. A crisp white blouse. Pencil skirt that hugged like a threat. Heels that echoed authority. Her phone buzzed incessantly. Assistants. Lovers. Board members. I silenced it, then dove into the data. Passcodes were muscle memory in her fingers. Retina scan unlocked her laptop, revealing a labyrinth of encrypted drives. Apex's underbelly. Emails to shell companies. Deleted chats with Ethan Ruiz pleading for his life. Vic. This code, it's rigging elections. Not just stocks. We're talking deepfakes for PACs. Shut it down, her reply. Or what? Join the ghosts. My blood, her blood boiled. But rage was a luxury. Subtlety was the blade. I scheduled a migraine day, texting her exec assistant in Vic's clipped tone. Cancel the 10 a.m. Need quiet.
Then,
I hit the streets, hailing an Uber to Apex's headquarters in Soma, a gleaming monolith of glass and steel. Logo pulsing like a heartbeat. The lobby was a shrine to innovation, holographic displays of stock tickers. Baristas slinging oat milk lattes to coders in hoodies. Security nodded me through, facial rec didn't question its queen. Elevator to the C-suite, where the air smelled of ambition and bergamot cologne. Her office was a corner kingdom, Eames' desk, Warhol prints, a wet bar stocked with top-shelf scotch. I poured a finger,
neat,
and sank into her leather chair. The city at my feet. Hacking her own systems felt blasphemous. Poetic. I pulled up the employee portal, scrolling for allies. There was Jamal, the lead engineer who'd eyed me. Vic, suspiciously after Ethan's suicide.
quiet,
Brilliant. With a scar from Oakland streets that said he didn't scare easy. I buzzed him up, casual as a coffee run. Jamal, got a sec? Need your eyes on something. Off. He arrived wary, Man bun askew. Tattooed, arms crossed. MS. Langford? Everything okay? Up close. His eyes searched mine, my borrowed eyes, for cracks. I leaned in, Vic's husky timbre masking my tremor. Ethan's code. I buried it, but it's surfacing in audits.
Goes, you know, a beat.
His jaw tightened. You mean the part that predicts voter fraud? Or the part that crashed Ruiz's career before he left? Bingo. I played the confidant, dropping crumbs. I need it scrubbed clean. But quietly. Trust me? He hesitated, then nodded, fingers flying over her keyboard. As he worked, I probed. You ever wonder why Kinsley Harper took the fall? She was clean. We pushed her. Jamal's pause was a chasm. Pushed? You framed her. I saw the memos. Ethan's too. This place is a machine.
Vic.
Eats the little guys. His words were flint to my tinder. What if I told you I want to break it? A whisper.
Testing.
He laughed bitter. I'd say you're drunk. Or dying. Close enough. I slipped him a drive with Ethan's uncorrupted files, proof of the AI's crimes. Time-stamped to exonerate me. Leak this. Anonymously. To the Chronicle. But wait for my signal. He pocketed it, eyes gleaming with that revolutionary spark Silicon Valley loves to romanticize. You're playing with fire, boss. Good, I said, channeling Vic's ice. I like the burn. Back in the penthouse that night, I prepped for war. Vic's calendar was a minefield, board dinner at the slanted door, schmoozing VCs over Dungeness crab. I arrived late, fashionably disheveled, blaming traffic from the bridge. The table was a viper pit, silver-haired investors in Tom Ford suits, toasting Apex's disruptive edge. I played the role, charming quips about quantum computing, a flirtatious glance at the hedge fund bro on my left. But under the table, my foot, her Louboutin, tapped Morse code anxiety. Conversation turned to scandals. Heard about that OpenAI leak, one suit drawled, swirling his Napa cab. Whistleblowers everywhere. Your shop clean, Vic. I smiled Vic's smile, sharp as shattered glass. Immaculate. We incentivize loyalty. Laughter rippled. But my mind raced to the real dirt, Vic's slush fund for bribing regulators, funneled through a nonprofit she chaired. Empower Her Tech, they called it, irony's cruelest joke, since it had silenced women like me. Post-dinner, I cornered her mentor, Harlan Crow, a grizzled venture capitalist with a toupee like a dead ferret. In the valet line, under the fog-draped palms, I murmured, Harlan, off-record, Kinsley Harper. She reached out, his eyes narrowed, cigar smoke curling like a noose. That convict? Why? Loose ends. IPO's sensitive. He chuckled, low and filthy. Kid's a ghost. But if she did, you'd handle it. Like Ethan. My stomach lurched confirmation. Harlan knew. Hell, he'd greenlit it. I drove her Tesla back. Autopilot engaged. Mind in overdrive. The swap's timer ticked, 72 hours max before neural fatigue kicked in, risking permanent damage or detection. I needed to accelerate. Late night scroll through Vic's contacts unearthed gold, an encrypted chat with her fixer, a ex-fed named Marco, handling discreet relocations. Athens. No doubt. I fired off a message. Old business. Ruiz file. Urgent meet. Midnight. Presidio. The Presidio at night was a haunted wood. Eucalyptus groves whispering in the wind off the bay. Ruins of old batteries looming like forgotten sins. Marco arrived in a black Escalade, burly frames spilling out, gold chain glinting. Vic, the hell? Thought that was buried. I stepped from shadows. Vic's silhouette cutting the mist. Unbury it. I need proof for leverage. He squinted. Suspicious. Leverage on who? You're the one who called the hit.
Hit.
Not suicide. Murder. My vision tunneled. Rage a red haze. Details. Marco. Now. He leaned in. Breath sour with garlic and deceit. Overdose.
Sure.
But I slipped the pills. Your orders. Make it quiet. Paid me triple. Evidence? A ghost server in Estonia. Logs of the wire transfer. I memorized the access. Then impulse. Controversial as hell. Drew Vic's compact from her clutch. The one hiding a taser mod.
Zap.
He crumpled, twitching in the duff. Not dead, just out. I rifled his phone, downloading the files, then left him to the fog. Mercy or escalation? In Vic's skin, it felt righteous. In mine, it was a line crossed, the kind that makes you question if you're the villain now. Dawn broke bloody over the hills as I uploaded the Ruiz logs to a dead man switch, auto-release to the DOJ if I didn't check in. Breakfast was kale smoothie in her kitchen. Staring at the news, Apex stock up 3% on strong Q4 projections. My doing? Once.
Now. Poison.
Jamal texted. Files prepped. Your move, I replied. Light the fuse. But as I slipped into a board meeting, chairing with Vic's authority, a glitch hit, a phantom itch in my neurons, like static from the swap. Time was bleeding. And somewhere, in my old body, Vic was waking to a nightmare she'd sown. Power is a drug. And Vic's life was the purest hit, endless doors swinging wide. Whispers parting like the Red Sea. But by day 2 in her skin, the high soured into paranoia. Every reflection a reminder that this throne was borrowed. Rigged to collapse. I paced her penthouse gym that morning, treadmill pounding out my fury, sweat beading on her flawless complexion. The city below buzzed oblivious, cyclists in Lycra dodging Waymos. Coffee carts hawking $8 cold brews to the grind-set faithful. Modern America. Land of reinvention, except when you're the one getting erased. The board meeting was my first real test. 20 execs in a conference room that screamed money, ergonomic chairs, interactive walls displaying real-time metrics. I took Vic's seat at the head, legs crossed like a queen, but inside, Kinsley's pulse hammered. Q4 projections, I started, voice steady in her alto. Charts flickered, revenue spikes, AI adoption rates soaring. Nods all around, until Harlan Crow, his toupee askew from the night's indulgences, leaned forward. Vic, darling, you're glowing. New serum? Or just the IPO high? Laughter. Light and toxic. I forced her smirk. Trade secret. Harlan. But speaking of compliance audits greenlit. Full transparency. Murmurs rippled. Apex ran on shadows. Audits were for suckers. A VP, slick-haired Todd from finance, piped up. MS. Langford. That's aggressive. Investors love opacity in volatile markets. I locked eyes, mine. Hers cold. Opacity got us Harper. And Ruiz. We're evolving. The room froze. Jamal, in the corner, hid a grin behind his tablet. Post-meeting. Fallout brewed. Emails pinged. WTF. Vic, audit kills margins. I ignored them, focusing on the real play. Using Vic's credentials, I accessed the core server, Ethan's ghost code. The AI's rotten heart. It wasn't just market manipulation. It interfaced with social media APIs, seeding disinformation to sway elections. 2024 midterms? Apex fingerprints on swing state bots. Funded by Harlan's PACs. Deep betrayal layered on deep. Vic hadn't just stolen my life. She'd weaponized it to erode democracy. All while preaching tech for good at Davos. I leaked snippets to Ramirez. My PI lifeline. Kins whoever, this is dynamite. Feds'll eat it up. But you're in deep. Swap tech's illegal as hell. Trace it back. You're cooked. Cooked? I'd been barbecued already. Send to the Merc. Front page it as anonymous source. By lunch. Headlines whispered. Apex AI scandal. Insider trading or worse? Vic's phone exploded. Reporters. Regulators. Her lover du jour. A tech influencer named Blake with abs for days and ethics for none. I met him at her favorite spot. A rooftop in the Mission with views of graffitied murals and the distant Salesforce Tower. He slid into the booth. All dimples and designer denim. Babe. Rough day? Saw the buzz. I traced his hand with Vic's fingers. Playing the seductress. Worse than rough. Need you to run interference. Post something distracting. Your followers eat up that disrupt or die vibe. He bought it. Nuzzling close. Anything for you?
Vic.
But as he typed, live tweeting platitudes about innovation under fire, I slipped a USB into his pocket. More files. Time to drop, if he ghosted. Trust no one. Not even the pretty ones. Blake was Vic's escape hatch. The one who'd alibis her on Ethan's night. You were with me. Remember? Late dinner at Zuni. Lies.
All.
Afternoon blurred into crisis mode. SEC calls. Board panic. I chaired an emergency Zoom from Vic's home office. Face powdered to porcelain. Projecting calm amid the storm. We're doubling down on ethics training. I lied smoothly. Kinsley Harper was an aberration. Jamal chimed in from his feed. And the Ruiz Memorial Fund? Let's announce it now. Brilliant. It painted Vic as repentant. Me as the puppet master pulling redemption strings. But crack showed. That neural itch worsened, a migraine pulsing behind her eyes. Visions flickering, my old body's calluses, the prison yard's chain link bite. The swap's half-life kicking in.
Ipupadbik sa daral stash.
Chasing focus. Then hit the streets for air. Dolores Park. Sprawl of picnickers and dog walkers under cypress trees. The air thick with weed and sunscreen. I sat on a blanket, her blanket. Cashmere soft, watching families oblivious to the rot beneath their feeds. A text from an unknown. Harper? If that's you.
Meet.
Pier 39.
Now. Ethan? Impossible.
Heart slamming. I Ubered over. Weaving through tourists munching clam chowder. Sea lions barking mockery. At the pier's end, fog rolling in like a shroud, stood a figure in a hoodie slight, scarred hands.
Not Ethan.
Elena Ruiz. His sister. A journalist I'd contacted via Ramirez months back. Kinsley? Her voice was gravel, eyes fierce under dark lashes. Heard rumors. Body swaps? Insane. But if you're in Langford's skin. I nodded, whispering the proof, Ethan's last words from the logs. She pulled a recorder, questions sharp as switchblades. Why frame you? Why him? Power, I said, Vic's lips curling bitter. Vic needed a clean slate for the IPO. Ethan knew too much. I was collateral.
Elena's face hardened.
He loved you. You know. Thought you were the good one in that duo. Guilt stabbed, another sin I'd borne blindly. She handed me a flash drive, Ethan's personal journal, smuggled from his apartment. Entries scrawled in frantic script, Vic's threats, Harlan's payoffs, a mention of the accident, a lab fire at Apex's beta site, 2 techs dead, blamed on faulty wiring.
But the dates.
I'd signed off on that inspection too, covering Vic's rush to launch. Her crime, my shadow. Use this, Elena urged. But careful, Vic's not alone. Harlan's got private security. Ex-Blackwater. I pocketed it, promising a byline. As she vanished into the crowd, my phone lit up. Blake. Frantic.
Beak.
What the fuck? Files just dropped on my Insta. SEC's at the door. Escalation. I raced back, heels clicking fury on pavement. The penthouse was a war zone, assistants scrambling. Harlan on speaker bellowing. You lost your mind. Victoria? This audit shit, it's suicide. I hung up, then did the controversial. Wired an anonymous tip to the FBI. Routing through Vic's VPN. Apex exec Victoria Langford. Murder for hire. Ruiz 2023. Proof attached Marco's logs. Night fell heavy. City lights smearing like accusations. I confronted the mirror. Vic's face fracturing under strain. A call came, blocked. My old voice. Tinny and terrified. Kinsley, you bitch. Whatever this is, end it. I wake up in your trash heap of a life. Tattoos.
Debts.
That PI slime sniffing around. Give me back my body, Vic. Clawing for my shell. I laughed. Low and unhinged. Feel the fracture.
Beak.
That's how it starts. Her scream echoed as I hung up. Sleep came fitful. Dreams of Ethan's ghost whispering. Not her fault. Not all. What the hell did that mean? Morning brought chaos. Raids on Apex. Stock plummeting 15%. I watched from Vic's office, sipping her espresso, as copters buzzed the skyline. Jamal burst in. It's out. All of it. Victory tasted like ash because in the rubble, my own secret stirred. By the 3rd day, the swap's toll was biblical. Headaches like sledgehammers to the temples. Phantom memories bleeding through. Vic's first kill?
No.
Not kill. A college hazing gone wrong. A pledge dead from bad ecstasy. Vic's sorority pinning it on a freshman nobody.
Me?
I'd lied to campus PD. Said I was home studying. Loyalty's blindfold, tightening into a noose. Her body rebelled too, tremors in the hands that signed my doom. A rash creeping up her neck like guilt's fingerprint. San Francisco had flipped to DEFCON 1, news vans clogging Market Street. Protesters chaining themselves to Apex's doors with signs screaming, AI equals lies. I slipped out the service entrance in Vic's athleisure, Lululemon that cost more than my old rent, hood up, blending with the chaos. Goal, Extract Vic from my body before she unraveled everything. Ramirez met me in a dive off Van Ness. The kind with sticky floors and jukebox blues. Kins, you're pale. Swap frying your brain over stale coffee. He slid photos, my old trailer in Fresno. Now Vic's unwilling crash pad. Her clawing at windows. Ranting to neighbors about imposters. She's cornered, he said. Cops picked her up last night, your body, for questioning on the leaks. Claims she's Victoria Langford. Docs think schizophrenia. I nodded. Plotting. Controversial decision numero uno. Bail her out. Use Vic's black card. Pose as concerned friend. Get her isolated. Force a reverse swap. Mercy or trap? In the moment, it felt like justice. Make her feel the cage before I slammed the door. The precinct was a fluorescent hell, drunks snoring and holding. Clerks buried in paperwork. I flashed Vic's ID. Voice honeyed. Bailing out Kinsley Harper. Family matter. The desk sergeant barely glanced up. Sure.
Mom.
Sign here. They brought her out, me. Hollow-cheeked. Prison ink peeking from cuffs. Eyes wild with Vic's fury. You, she hissed. Lunging. Cops yanked her back. This isn't over. You junkie fraud. In the back of Vic's Escalade. Ramirez driving. I zip-tied her wrists, her tech. Ironically. Drive to the motel. The rig's still there.
She spat.
My old lips curling venom. What is this? Some acid trip? Give me my life back. I leaned close. Her perfume, my sweat now cloying. Your life? You mean the one built on Ethan's corpse? My freedom? Confession time. I laid it out, the frames, the murders, the AI apocalypse she'd coded. Her laugh cracked. You think you're saint? You enabled it all. Kins. Signed every line.
And Ethan.
He wasn't just a loose end. The motel loomed, neon sign flickering vacancy like a bad omen. We dragged her inside. The air thick with mildew and regret. The swap rig hummed to life. Wires snaking like veins. Strap in, I ordered. She fought, kicking, but Ramirez pinned her. As the headset clamped, I hovered, tempted. One tweak to the code, permanently trap her essence. Let my body rot with her sins. Controversial? Hell yes. The line between revenge and monstrosity blurred. American dream twisted into nightmare. But I hesitated. Ethan's journal burned in my pocket. Vic's not the villain. Harlan is. She covered for me once, pulled me from a OD in college. Said she owed her dad. The one who bailed Apex.
Owed?
Flashback through Vic's synapses. Her father. Crow Sr. Ruined by a startup crash. Suicide in 15. Harlan mentored her, but twisted, made her complicit in his empire of shadows. She framed me to protect the beast, thinking sacrifice one for the many. Noble, delusional. Transfer initiated. Static roared. Bodies convulsing. I blacked out, waking to familiar aches, my aches in my skin. Vic slumped opposite, gasping in hers. Kins. What have you done? Her voice. Broken silk. I untied her. The drive to the Presidio silent, fog swallowing the road. Confrontation under the cypresses, where Marco had fallen. End it.
Beak.
Confess. Or the dead man's switch drops everything, your head. Harlan's. She crumpled, tears carving tracks through makeup. Harlan killed Ethan.
I
cleaned it up. Thought if I took the fall, framed you, it'd shield the company. My legacy. Legacy? A lie wrapped in power. But her eyes, green, haunted, held a fracture I recognized. The girl from orientation, scared under the bravado. Sirens wailed distant, raids closing in. One chance, I said. Testify. Against him. She nodded, shattered. We drove to the Chronicle. Elena waiting. Live interview. Vic.
raw.
Spilling the rot. AI manipulations. Ethan's murder. My innocence. Feeds exploded. Apex down trending. Harlan's name poison. Climax hit at dawn. FBI storming Harlan's Pacific Heights mansion. Me in the shadows with Ramirez. Watching from a news van. He resisted, shots fired. Chaos on live TV.
Beak.
In cuffs beside me. Whispered. Thank you. For what? Absolution? I wasn't sure. But as agents dragged him out, bloodied but breathing, a twist cracked the facade. Elena's recorder. Rolling. Kinsley Harper. Harlan snarled from the gurney. You think this ends me? You're swap my tech. I funded the dark web devs. Tracked every pulse. My blood iced. The swap wasn't chance. He'd orchestrated it. Testing loyalties. Pitting us like rats. Beak's flamma. His puppetry. To cull the weak. She'd borne his crimes. Unknowingly. Just like me. The fallout was a slow-motion car wreck. The kind you can't look away from, even as it scars you. Harlan Crow's arrest dominated every feed. Tech Titan falls, murder, fraud, and a body swap conspiracy. Reporters swarmed like locusts, turning San Francisco's hills into a circus of satellite trucks and screamers. I holed up in Ramirez's Oakland safe house. My body a roadmap of abuse, prison pallor, swap-induced tics that made my fingers twitch like faulty code.
Beak.
She vanished into protective custody, prepping her deal, full immunity for flipping on Harlan's network, a web spanning D.C. to Dubai.
Me?
Exonerated overnight. Governor's pardon. Backdated. Splashed across the Merc's front page. Innocent woman framed in Silicon Valley scandal. Checks rolled in, settlements from Apex's carcass. Class actions from jilted investors. I could have bought a house in No Valley. Started fresh. But revenge's aftertaste is bile. Leaving you hollow. Questioning if the fire you lit warmed you, or just singed the world. Jamal found me first. Post-raid. At a taqueria in the Mission, tortoise dripping carnitas. Mariachi faint from a street corner. Kinsley Harper. The legend. He slid into the booth.
Manbanlosa.
Eyes alight. Apex dissolved in the chaos. Assets seized. But he'd salvaged the clean code. Ethan's vision. Untainted. Starting a co-op. Ethical AI. Open source. You in. I chewed slow. The spice burning like truth. Maybe. After I bury some ghosts. Elena Ruiz came next. Over Zoom from her DC.
Beat.
Ethan's journal published as a serial, his words. My redemption. You gave him a voice, she said. Voice thick. Twist ending. Turns out Vic wasn't the monster. Harlan groomed her. Like he did her dad. Cycle of power. Controversial? Damn right. Forgiving Vic felt like betrayal, to Ethan. To my cage-time rage. But the truth reversed it all. We were both pawns. Her frame a desperate shield. My swap Harlan's trap to expose fractures. I visited Vic in a nondescript safe house upstate, under guard and NDA. She looked smaller without the armor, hair limp, eyes shadowed.
Kins. I.
Sold your soul for scraps. We talked for hours. The first real conversation since the garage days. Secrets unspooled. Her coke habit. Harlan's mentorship that crossed lines in boardrooms and backseats. I thought framing you had ended. Protect the dream.
Dream?
A nightmare we'd co-authored. I covered for you too, I admitted. Ethan's night. The lab fire. Blind loyalty.
Absoluten hung unspun.
She signed over her residual shares, seed money for Jamal's co-op. Build it right. For him. As I left, fog rolling over the hills, she called out, "Was it worth it? The swap. Worth the scar," I said. Truth? Debatable. Happy ending? If dismantling empires counts.
Sure.
But the bykitch lingers. Vic walks free. A ghost consultant whispering ethics to startups.
I.
CEO of the co-op. But nights bring the itch, neural echoes. Whispers of her power. Harlan rots in Supermax. But his tendrils linger in code we can't purge. Final twist. The one that sparks bar fights and Reddit wars. Turns out the swap wasn't fully reversed. Vic's laugh bubbles up sometimes. Unbidden. In my throat. Her doubts and mine. We're fused. Echoes and opposition. Victim and villain.
Blurred.
America 2025. Reinvention or recursion. You decide. I stand on the Golden Gate now. Wind whipping salt and second chances. The city a glittering lie below. Revenge rebuilt me. But at what cost? The hook's still in. Pulling. And in the quiet, I wonder if I could swap again. Would I choose mercy? Or the burn?